This funeral service of thanksgiving for the life of Jeff Stewart. For those who do not know me, my name is the Reverend Keith Hegerman, and I'm the senior minister here at Marshall Memorial. We gather today in grief, deep grief, to acknowledge our human loss. Life will not be the same. We gather as family and friends of Jeff Stewart. Our sanctuary here is filled, and there are many more who join us online, speaking of Jeff's love and friendship and how his life connected with all of your lives. We gather to honor his memory and to take comfort from the awareness that Jeff will never be lost to us because he has helped to shape and create something of who we ourselves are. And so we gather to voice our love for Jeff and to affirm all in him that was life-giving, and acknowledging the huge impact he had on your lives. We gather to give thanks for the wonder of life that was Jeff, and how he touched your lives and how your lives are richer because of that. We also gather to stand with one another and to support one another in our common loss, knowing that as we stand together, we offer each other strength for today and for the days to come. We let each other know that no one is alone, that whatever problems become too complex or unbearable, that we are there to help each other. No one is alone. And so we also need to hear that if we are feeling alone or overwhelmed by life, we need to reach out, because the people that gather around us today will stand beside us through it all. We gather also to hear words of hope, of the mystery of life, sometimes called the universe, sometimes simply called love, sometimes named as God, and how this cosmic energy infiltrates our lives and connects everything in the universe, in life, in death, and even in life beyond death. And we gathered to commend Jeff to this mystery of life that we are bold to call God, that this cosmic energy may enfold Jeff with loving arms as we are no longer able to. The ancient poets said, "Out of the depths I cry to you, O God." And so out of the depths of pain and sorrow and confusion and disbelief, we too cry out to the universe, our pain and our sense of loss, our questions and our doubts, our great love and our emptiness, asking for strength for today and the days to come. Facing death is always a challenge. Saying goodbye to someone that we love, who's had a significant place in our lives. Death is also a reminder of other losses we have known, other loved ones who we have buried. And today's service is bound to stir up many memories and feelings within us. Jeff's death also reminds us of our own mortality and the reality that we shall not walk this earth forever. These are all part of what we face as we gather today. There are, however, spiritual resources which help us to face death and which assist us in discovering within death the comfort of eternal realities. The Apostle Paul reminds us that although we sorrow, we do not sorrow as those who have no hope, for we have a living hope which proclaims that death is not the end. Just as matter can be changed in form but cannot be created or destroyed, so energy, spirit, and love are eternal. I invite you now to close your eyes for a moment and to breathe in and out. And as you exhale, with each exhale, to let go of your pain, to breathe out your loss and your grief and your struggles with how this could happen. To breathe out your tears and your anger, knowing that all of these are natural things to feel. Our deep sense of loss, our difficulty in saying goodbye. We breathe them out and we let go of them into the universe where these things are held for us. And as we breathe in thanksgiving for Jeff. We breathe in gratitude. We breathe in knowing that we were blessed to know Jeff and to experience life with him. And we breathe in knowing that life is a gift and relationships are a gift. And as you breathe, I want you to become also conscious of those around you also breathing. All of us breathing together. The same breath, the same love. Our lives intertwined, giving strength and courage to each other for today and for the days to come. As we breathe with each other, we know that we are a circle of life. And within that circle of life is also Jeff's energy, the essence of who he was there in the midst of us. The ancients had the same word for breath and spirit, the Hebrew word ruach. And they would say, when we breathe in the breath of life. We breathe in peace and assurance, and a sense that over all there is a presence of love that pervades the universe, and that love never ends. And so when you're ready, I invite you to come back and to open your eyes again, and to know that all around us is an embrace of love, and in the midst of us also is the embrace of Jeff. For those that are standing, you are welcome to keep standing. I know that there are some, I think, probably about half a dozen or more seats behind me, and there's a door on the side which you can access that if you need to sit down. I'm going to share with you a reading. Actually, there's also a pew over here that is empty, third row from the front. I'm going to share with you a reading, a contemporary poem called The Dash Poem by Linda Ellis. And if you will find it actually in your order of service. First of all, if you happen to look at the front page, you will see there a picture of Jeff and the dates of his birth, April 28th to 1986 to April 21st, 2022. And if you wish to follow along with the words, they are on the inside cover. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years, for that dash represents all the time they spent alive on earth. Now only those who loved them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love, and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's real and true, and always try to understand the way other people feel. And be less quick to anger, and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is read, with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? Friends, death is an invitation to storytelling for remembering and sharing feelings about Jeff. And in and through the sharing of memories, the whole we feel gradually becomes filled with peace, comfort, and a profound sense of gratitude for the gift of life and love. I invite, first of all, Gail, Jeff's aunt, to come and to share some words of remembrance.
I'm going to use a Christa Freeland prompt here and get a little stool, since I'm not quite as tall as the good Reverend. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for all being here, for your flowers, your food, your comfort, your cards, all the love that you've provided us. It is my honor to speak to you on behalf of Martha and Ron at an extremely difficult time. This tribute is not being delivered in Ron's flashy style, but please know it is Ron here with Martha by his side as I read these words. At their request, the tribute will be brief, so I ask you to imagine that each sentence is actually a full chapter in a love on their son Jeff. Even though you may not hear your name, Martha and Ron know that you are in that story of their son. You are there too, and we want you to remember that. What follows is just a tiny collection of memories of Jeff for you to bookmark and to revisit time and again. How many times in Jeff's younger days did you hear Ron say, "That kid turned my hair gray"? Now we know that is not true. It is in every child's DNA to turn our hair gray, or cause it to fall out, or both, to give us premature wrinkles and high blood pressure as we worry over lost toys, mean friends, late nights, well, just about everything, and then beam with pride over goals scored, putts sunk, and diplomas and degrees achieved. Jeff did all of that in abundance and so enriched his parents' lives. Days, weeks, summers at the cottage are just a young boy's dream. Maybe not the trips to the dump. For now, let's think of young Jeff, shivering in the water, wearing a life jacket too big for him, holding the rope and yelling, "Hit it!" Jeff's thin little legs wobbling as he pulls on the rope to take up the slack. He's up. He's down. He's up. He's down. Oh, that was a face plant. Before you know it, Jeff is up and gives that signal for one more time around as the supportive crowd on the dock lets out a cheer heard across the water. Maybe it didn't quite go that smoothly, but pretty close. Just one small summer memory of many that could easily fill another book. It seems that Jeff could just pick up any sport he put his mind to, and that was certainly true of golf. Most of you know of his amazing skill, but please also know the joy and pride that he gave his mom and dad, certainly after a match well played, but especially when he would hit a round or two with Grandpa Bob. Now let's talk hunting and fishing. Besides hearing of the successes, about the shot that got missed, or the one that got away, there is also the day of the perfect storm on Manitoulin Island. As it has been told, out of nowhere the clouds rolled in, the sky darkened, the winds rose to gale force, and the little fishing vessel on Pike Lake was suddenly in dangerous waters. When that microburst rocked their small boat, Jeff was a calming presence and knew just what to do as the tiny crew got safely to shore. Details of just how perilous that event was did not get revealed to the worry mums until much later. When it came to his university studies and subsequent work life, as the saying goes, he nailed it. He was knowledgeable, confident, reliable, accomplished, and so professional. For one so young, he had a keen business sense, extraordinary common sense, and of course, a dashing fashion sense. Then most recently, there is the time of Ashley and Jeff, a time of bright days, huge smiles, loving hearts, and cherished moments. From all the way back to elementary school days, a lost time was found, embraced, and nourished with unconditional love. Their joy was shared with all of us and brightened our lives, especially for great-grandma Nine. At another time, Martha and Ron will share with you many more loving memories, but please not today. At another time, when emotions are not so raw and sorrow so deep, save your tales of old, true and embellished, and share them over a lovely meal, a nice barbecue, or one of Ron's famous grilled cheese sandwiches. Then raise a glass to salute a truly accomplished, loving, and beautiful young man. When your world is shattered, how does the heart continue to beat? How does the body move through the day? By knowing that Jeffrey Ronald Stewart was heaven sent to bless us all with his goodness and strength. Jeff, you are an exceptional friend, cousin, nephew, uncle, grandson, fiancé, brother-in-law, brother, and cherished son, who will be greatly missed and deeply loved always.
And I invite Jeff's friends, Chris and Chris, to come share some words.
All right. First of all, just want to say thank you for everyone who's here with us today. Although not surprising one bit, it's really amazing to see that the friends that Jeff had and the people that he touched in his life. I really appreciate Ron and Martha, along with Ashley and Dan and the family, for allowing me to say a few words and a few stories about Jeff, or J. Stu, as I like to call him. Like many of you, I could share stories about him for hours, but I want to share a few with you that kind of came back to me over the last few days. Sorry, I'm going to drink water because. So for those who don't know me, my name's Chris Leendertz, and I've been fortunate enough to know Jeff from a young age when we first played rep hockey together, around 8 or 9 years old. I didn't know much about him before we first made the team together, but I was instantly drawn to his cool factor, and knew he was someone that I wanted to be like and hang around with. This first story, I have no idea why it stuck with me all these years, but I can remember being at a tournament the first year, and my parents stopped at a convenience store on the way to the rink, and we just happened to pull beside the Stewart's vehicle in the parking lot. My mom or dad ran in to get something, and as I'm sitting in the car, out comes Jeff with this big-ass Twix bar, and as he gets close to the car, not knowing I was watching, he mouths, "Oh yeah," while staring at this thing. And don't ask me why this memory stuck with me all these years, but after seeing him get that fired up over a chocolate bar, made me think he was definitely somebody I wanted to be buddies with. Now, as many of you know, Jeff knew cars, but what made him successful is that he knew people. And I was always fascinated to watch him interact with anybody, especially when it came to like a sale or a negotiation. One of my earlier memories of this was back in maybe grade 8 or grade 9. And Jeff had started a part-time gig selling water, bottled water. He was over at my house hanging out one night and playing video games in the basement, and my parents just happened to have a few of their couple's friends over for a get-together. We popped up in the kitchen to grab a snack, and before my my eyes, Jeff starts working the room with his charm and charisma, describing the crystallization and purification process of this damn water, which I think cost about 3 or 4 times what any other bottled water might have cost. But so after a few minutes, he had all the adults hanging on to every one of his words, and all I wanted to do was go back downstairs and play video games. Fortunately for me, he was able to wrap things up a few minutes later, but it wasn't before he pocketed about 50 or 60 bucks and had a few deliveries lined up for later that week. Above it all, though, Jeff was a loyal friend and someone who was always there to grab a beer and catch up, no matter where our life paths had taken us. Like many of you in this room, I've had so many great memories of Jeff throughout the years, and I'm grateful for his friendship and support through all stages of my life, school, sports, my career. Whether he was telling me to slow my damn swing down on the golf course, to sending a limo to my door on our way to Mexico for a President's Club trip, to negotiating the purchase of my last car. And this is a true story. I had called him for advice, told me to get the hell out of the dealership, but send me the sales guy's number. Called back a few later, said, "Go on in. I just saved you $4,000." So that was just who Jeff was. He was a great friend and someone that had your back no matter what. I'm also grateful for the love that he gave to my family over the years, from my parents and my brothers to more recently my wife and my kids. And I'll particularly cherish the relationship he had with my oldest son, Mason. Mason looked at Jay Stu like another uncle, and he was always looking forward to when we got to go golfing with him, or when he'd come by for a visit with Walter. That same twinkle in my eyes, an 8-year-old, was the same twinkle I'd see in Mason's, and I know he loved and adored his cool buddy Jay Stu. To see that bond and know it existed is a memory that tops them all for me in my nearly 30 years of friendship, and something I'll cherish forever. All right, one final story. This past Sunday, I took Mason out to play golf, as it's something we both love to do with Jeff. Mason was a little down on himself later in the round, as it was taking him too many shots to get in the hole, which is the story of my life. After a while, we started talking about the importance of having fun and a great attitude. And as we played the 17th hole, he was about 10 yards off the green. Now, after seeing him hit duff shots after shots all day long, I saw him hit a perfect pitch chip shot up onto the green and watched in amazement as it rolled for about 30, 40 feet directly into the cup. To see that excitement on his face is second to none as a father, and to know that Jay Stu may have had a hand in guiding that thing in for his little buddy makes me smile. Jeffy, you've impacted my life in more ways than you'll ever know, and I couldn't be more proud to be your friend. I miss you like crazy, and I know you'll always be with me and with us all, supporting us in all walks of life. Until we meet again, buddy, I love you.
No, I wish I went first. Give me a sec. About 3 years ago on a Saturday, a few of us were having some drinks at a bonfire next door to our house at one of my neighbors, who I still don't really know well besides his presence at the occasional trivia night I would attend at the Brassy. He mentioned he was looking for a place to get his summer tires put on. Well, Jeff was there, and of course, 5 minutes later, he was giving out the address to his shop where he met him the next morning, hungover, tired, receiving zero compensation for his time and effort. But he seemed happy about it. He was a guy that loved helping people. Well, he did have a slight allergy on occasion to grunt-level labor, as mentioned before, but I don't blame him. He was always dressed nicer than most in about every situation he can put himself in, and he did not like being dirty or disheveled, so not wanting to do things like carry buckets of dirt out of my basement isn't a shock. I might be wearing, well, almost a suit, but by no means did anyone tailor this or put any custom red stitching or racing stripes on the inside. Hell, before I met him, I never put a second thought into the fashion potential of socks. He dressed up a lot of aspects of my life. I learned that rather than saying to people that you're loading up your giant piece of garbage Kijiji trailer that you bought off Dan to go build things 3 hours away from your family in the woods with one extension cord and a porta potty to run your whole life, it's much better to just tell people you're traveling for work. But while I was away on business, he would always ask if it was okay to check in on my wife, Lex. He would call her usually at least once a day to ask her if she needed anything, even mowed my lawn one time. Not because I asked him, but I think because he just didn't like parking next to an unkempt lawn if he stopped by. Even the process for mowing lawns was impressive, well-organized spectacle. Lawn mowing pants, specific lawn mowing bluntstones, check fuel, oil, spark plug, proceed to mow, clean mower upon completion, put mower away properly, and you better believe those lines are straight. He was there for me and my family when I was gone, and sure as hell supported me when I was home. He was right in the forefront of so many aspects of my life, seeming from the moment we became friends, which was unique for me, but especially over the last week, I've learned it wasn't for him. Not only did Jeff make friends with everybody immediately, he had the uncanny ability to maintain and grow these friendships better than anyone else I've ever even heard of. Despite being funny, and always up for an adventure, he was also just thinking about others and how to help them. He put that level of thought and care into just about everything. If anyone's ever got an email from him, you probably know it's best to pour yourself a drink, get comfortable, settle in for a long, albeit informative and entertaining read. He'd package up all the ideas, made next steps, and followed up on action items exactly when they were due. I, like many of other of Jeff's friends and colleagues, spent a lot of great times talking to him about cars and boats and pickup trucks and dump trucks, vac trucks, fiber optic cable trucks, bucket trucks, snow plows, RVs, trailers, and stuff like that. Road trips were the best with him, as long as he wasn't driving. He's the only one I ever met who owned a DeLorean, drove a Porsche 911 damn near across Canada, would customize old trucks with performance upgrades, and yet would wave everyone by when we would be racing go-karts. The slowest lap time and the slowest drive to the cottage were both awards he would win frequently. He would also win the award for cleanest car and most washes per month. Anyone else ever get guilted into buying a license plate cover? I've got a few. A dirty or dilapidated plate was almost as bad as putting your ATV away with mud on it. Jeff was the one who got me into shooting, and that's something we bonded over as well. When I wasn't dragging him around for ridiculous boys' weekends, before we had kids, we would shoot pretty much every weekend. I believe it was both of our first times shooting a shotgun the same day with Ron. We were hooked right after, and Jeff kept up with it better than I did. He hit his top score in November of 2020 with an impressive 24, while my gun collected dust. And also this season, he became the shooting captain at the Tamahawk, something I think he'd wanted to do from the first time he'd stepped on the skeet field. The Tamahawk was also where I first learned of Jeff's affinity for tradition, from family traditions, club traditions, and even a few dumb ones we made up as friends. He enjoyed and took pride in upholding every part of almost every aspect of each of them. Jeff and I had lots in common. We also differed on lots, which made it fun and interesting as we grew as friends. We always had the value of a strong family bond in common. I talk about visiting my parents or them coming to visit us. Jeff hung out with his family. You guys are family, but also great, great friends, and it was no secret that he was the best to sew with Dan. I was fortunate enough to spend time with the whole lot, from cocktail parties, Manitoulin Island, and maybe the odd rental project or two. Lots of fun, drinks, laughs, and I'm so thankful for Jeff bringing such great people and memories into my life. A few days ago from the day I received the message from Jeff after he shot his 24 in 2020, I got a different message from him. It was one about this girl who was apparently the one. He said her name was Ashley, and we both celebrated the fact that it was spelled normally. Then he said, she's the one again, and again, and again, and again, and again. And then we met her, and well, we got it, we understood. Most of you have probably seen it. It was ridiculous at first. The two of them couldn't be within 400 feet without organically migrating to each other to hold hands. But as anyone who knows, who's been dating for more than 6 to 8 months tops, the honeymoon phase wears off, and we'd be in the clear soon. But it didn't, ever. Not with these two. It was incredible to watch these two together. I'd seen him happy a million places over the years, but it was something else. Lex and I quickly came to love her as well, for so many reasons, but mostly for how happy she made him. I'm thankful to have available so many pictures and memories of him, absolutely elated because he was with her, as Ashley was the catalyst for his happiness, but also an excellent at documenting almost every moment. He really did set a benchmark for us all with how much one person can love another, and the best part is it was reciprocated back to him. They both deserved every bit of the unquantifiable happiness they shared in their relationship. And I can't thank her enough for bringing him so much joy, so much hard, well-earned and fought-for joy. I'll miss my friend. I'll miss him forever. We're all better people for knowing him. But I have so many more memories, as we all do, and I look forward to sharing them time and time again with everybody. And with everyone I know and all those I'll meet. I look forward to making new friends and new memories with all those people he brought into my life, and there's an abundance. To honor Jeff and his own traditions, I will encourage others and also do my very best to carry on his legacy. Please wash your car. Clean your gun. Make sure your tires are in good condition, and always put snow tires on in the wintertime. Give people more chances to prove themselves than they deserve. They might surprise you. Love with your whole heart and make friends wherever you go. That's all I got. Thanks, bro.
And I invite Dan now to come and to share words with us.
Bear with me, this is the toughest thing I'm ever going to do. My first memory in life is of my brother Jeff. I was 3.5 years old, and my parents took me to the hospital to see him for the very first time. I remember that he was premature, so I remember he was in one of those baby incubation boxes. And I remember looking in and seeing him, and I noticed the thing they put on newborn babies' belly buttons. I remember thinking, what's wrong with this belly button? My first thought, memory. Growing up, we had an amazing childhood. All the best memories come from being up at the cottage with family, riding bikes, swimming, raft wars, all that fun stuff. Because Jeff was younger, he tried to keep up with us, and it was hilarious. I was talking to John Gray, and I remember we used to play the game Balderdash a lot at a certain point in our lives. And the definitions that Jeff came up with were legendary. The harder he would try to write a convincing definition, the more obvious and hilarious it became that it was one of Jeff's. After a few rounds of this and us kind of laughing about it, he would eventually just take matters into his own hands, and the definitions became something like, a big geek like Dan. Once we got older, Jeff went from being my little brother and just became my best friend. We shared so many great experiences. We played hockey together, went on fishing trips, went to concerts, all kinds of family events. All the best moments of my life, Jeff was at my side. My parents were always very supportive and proud of Jeff for all of his accomplishments in life, but they were particularly proud of how good he was at golf, which was mentioned earlier. Jeff played on the McMaster University varsity team and was an all-around excellent player. And so there was a good 10 years of my life where I would meet some of my friends of my parents for the first time, and they would always say, "Are you the golfer?" And I go, "Nope, I'm the other one." And even as the older brother, I was always very proud and looked up to Jeff for the man that he became. He was always very generous with everything he did, offering to be the driver to all events and trips, or to cover the food, or take care of the people in some way. From being the beer baron on our hockey team, or the co-captain of the Shooters Club, Jeff loved to be the guy. And he always made it fun, and people loved him for that. A lot of people had a special connection with Jeff, even at a young age. He was extremely close with Grandpa Bob and Grandma Nine, and he was a special grandchild. Grandma Nine openly told me to my face that Jeff was her favorite. And I don't blame her. My cousin Eric and Neil definitely got some extra Jeff time too. And Jeff had such a wonderful life. He wasn't a troubled guy at all, but he got dealt a bad card a couple of times. And I feel like I knew him the best, as well as you could any person. And he was someone that loved life and was truly happy. And we never saw him as happy as he was this past year after meeting Ashley and falling in love. Everyone made the comment, and it was already made already, but that Jeff was the happiest they had ever seen him. And Ashley, you're the love of his life. And I'm so glad that you guys found each other. I found it very difficult to find words to write today, which is a first for me. And that's kind of what everyone's been saying. There just are no words. But in the past little bit, I received one message from one of Jeff's very good friends that I thought was appropriate. And I truly hope he doesn't mind me that I copied and pasted, like basically copied it word for word. And he wrote this. Jeff was a salt of the earth kind of guy. Never one to get mad, always positive, always smiling, no matter the circumstances. Jeff had this thing about him. I'll call it the Jeffism. A generous nature and positive outlook. He embodied the true definition of friendship and positivity. I hope people remember Jeff for many things, but above all, for his beautiful soul. I love you, Jeff, and I miss you.
I want to share with you some words of ancient wisdom from the Christian scriptures, from Mark's gospel. Just a short passage, but little did I know that it really sounds a lot like the story that Gail shared with us. And leaving behind the crowd, they took Jesus with them in the boat, just as he was. Other boats were with him. A great windstorm arose, and the waves beat into the boat so that the boat was already being swamped. But he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. And they woke him up and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" He woke up and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." Then the wind ceased, and there was a dead calm. I share this with you today because all of us have moments like that. Moments when we feel like our boat is going to be swamped. For those disciples, they felt like they were facing the dead end, that the storm that was raging all around them overwhelmed them. They had done what they could. They'd let out the sail. They'd possibly even brought down the sails. They'd bailed water, but it was not enough. And it seemed like they were going to capsize. And they woke Jesus with the words, "We are perishing." Perish means to die or to be destroyed. Their very lives were hanging in the balance, and it seemed like they could not go on. My friends, all of us have moments like that. Moments when the stuff of life overwhelms us. Times like when it seems like there's no way forward, when it seems like all hope is lost. It may be connected to our health, or our jobs, or our relationships, or our personal well-being, or it could be the death of dreams. But all of us have moments like that. All of us have issues. We all have problems. Sometimes we use the language of darkness or the absence of life, and the darkness threatens to overcome us. We gather today in grief because, for some reason, Jeff was unable to reach out to others to find a way into the future when that darkness came over him. It seemed like there was no light at the end of the tunnel, no hope, no future, no possibility. And our hearts ache for him and the storms that he must have been facing that felt so overwhelming. The ancient poet, the psalmist, said, "Out of the depths we cry to you, O God." My friends, you and I also come with a storm of our own grief and disbelief and of our anger and questions, the storm of our feelings of abandonment and unresolved hurt. Out of the depths, we too cry to the source of life. But the good news is we are not alone. We gather today as friends of Jeff, but also friends of each other. And our sanctuary is packed, and there are more than 40 people that are online at this moment. And our presence here says that we are not alone, that we are here to support each other. We are teammates, just like on a hockey team, going in to help others when they are in trouble. No one stands alone. We are in this as a team. We are the circle of life, supporting each other, and together we can be strong. not only for today, not only through this tragedy, but throughout our lives. We are not alone. And so I want to share with you the importance of reaching out. That when you are facing darkness and when you are feeling overwhelmed, to reach out to friends for help. And friends will be there, just like the loyalty of a chocolate lab who would do anything for those he loves. Nothing is so big that it cannot be faced with a friend. When we are overwhelmed, when we are fearful, when it seems like there is only darkness, a dead end, when we are overwhelmed with hopelessness, we need to reach out. Remember how Carole King penned the words, "You just call out my name and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. You've got a friend." Or the Beatles sang it, I get by with a little help from my friends. And there's great truth in that. Two are stronger than one. When we stand with each other, when we rely on each other, when we support each other, we have a way into the future. So don't try to go it alone. When the darkness threatens to overwhelm you, reach out to a friend. And so in the darkness of their fear, those disciples reached out to their friend Jesus. And I don't know exactly what happened, but it seemed like the storm was no longer a threat to them. That with their friend they found safety and peace. Jesus' words to them were, "Fear not." And those are words for you today. They're words from friends, and they're also words from the universe to you. That even in the midst of your grief and darkness, there is a future. Fear not. Even when it seems like the storm that is threatening to overwhelm you, fear not. There is power beyond us, a power in community, in our friends and family that enables us to see beyond the fear and the dread to light and hope and possibility. I'm going to invite you now into a few moments of, some may call it prayer, some may call it meditation, others may simply call it silence. You may wish to close your eyes, you may wish to focus on your breath. But to go to that tender place inside of you where you remember Jeff and to give thanks for his life, to remember his humor and his joy, and his love, and his kindness. And to remember some of those things that he said or did that made him unique. His concern, his empathy, his help, his passion for various sporting activities. His delight in Manitoulin Island and how he felt at home in nature. And as you remember, give thanks for all of those things that made Jeff the person he was. And just as we've heard stories from friends of Jeff's connection with their lives, remember also how he connected to you and the love that he shared and how he wanted the best for you in your life. And give thanks for those things. And remember those things that were sacred to Jeff. Times with family. Times with friends. Times with Walter. Times with various vehicles. Times in nature. And breathe a silent thank you. thank you for Jeff. And we open our hearts also to the energies of the universe and that energy over all that we are bold to call God. And we ask that that cosmic energy would be with Jeff as we are no longer able to. And we pray that all of these things that were part of Jeff will not be lost to us. And in those places where we remember in our lives, let us also recommit our lives to surrounding Jeff's family, Ashley and Dan and Ron and Martha, and all of his extended family, surrounding them with our love, with our prayers, and holding them up to the universe in love. And as we also feel our own grief, let us open our hearts and minds that we may have greater clarity about those things that are truly important. That we may forgive ourselves and others for any wrongs done that hinder abundant living. And so now let us gather all of these thoughts and prayers together in the ancient words that Jesus taught us, praying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Following this ceremony, you are all invited to a reception in the church hall. If you go through either these doors and then just keep going, and you will end up in the church hall. There's a couple of turns along the way, but just keep going and you will get there. And it's a time for us to all gather together and to support one another and to continue to share stories of Jeff as he touched your life. And now we let go of Jeff into that cosmic energy that even now has enfolded him and carried him to be part of the universe, part of the energy, part of the ether. And so, my friends, to Jeff and to you, deep peace of blue skies and gentle winds, deep peace of the laughter of friends, deep peace of embrace, deep peace of knowing that you are loved and cared for, deep peace of knowing that those that we love are never forgotten but are always with us. Deep peace. The peace of Christ be with you. Amen.
you.